It's back, ladies and gentlemen, and better than ever. Arguable. So let us know in the comments. Team Talk is here for your eyes only. Joining me today on the stage. Could we have had one out last week? Maybe. Footage got missing. Don't worry about it. Joe Tomlinson, how you doing?
Got missing. The footage got
The
missing.
English here is Englishing.
How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Douglas.
Reigning champ, baby. I'm back.
Reigning champ, back. No Martin O'Neill tonight. So we'll see.
No Martin O'Neill.
We'll see how things
Do you mean
get
Gary?
on.
It's a shocking start for you. It's a shocking start for you.
Henners, a.k.a. Henry Hill. How's the world from your side of things?
I'm ready for this. I want it.
Good.
Yeah. What do you want, bro?
Just redemption. Respect. I want it all.
Don't we all, mate? Don't we all? I've been looking for that for 7 years. Sam Abasaki, yourself, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, bro. Back-to-back champs, UTR agenda. You man still ain't
I thought you meant you
No
in
one
Team
cares.
Talk. I was like, I don't think so.
No one cares about your village teams.
Listen, you do not play competitive football, and there's a reason for that.
Neither do you,
Anyway,
pal.
let's go.
Okay, without further ado, let's get on to the first question. Okay, guys, now today is when the transfer window opens. As you see by the title, we're going to be talking about transfers. But before that, I want to whet your appetite by talking about the clubs before the players. So I want you to put 1 to 3, just 1, 2, 3, first, second, third, for which club is bigger.
Wow.
Now, how you want to argue your opinion is completely up to you. Joe Tomlinson may need a new pen, but we'll sort that out after this.
Fine.
Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea. Which club is bigger?
You set me up here, my dog.
Now, which club is bigger? 3, 2, 1, reveal. Arsenal top apart from Sam.
What am I seeing?
Dougie and Joe had the exact same. Chelsea bottom.
Get him out of here right now. Get him out of here right now.
Why are Chelsea bottom?
Why Chelsea bottom?
Given they've won the most trophies of this millennium, of any English side.
I just think at this very moment in time, you can't say that Chelsea are bigger than Man City.
Well, they've won more trophies this millennium than any other English side.
I'm just talking about like the success that City have had. Treble winners this year, just the second team to ever do it.
And they're second.
Yeah, they've still only won it once. They've only won the champs once, bro.
Arsenal are the biggest
won
team.
it 2 times.
Arsenal are the biggest team and the biggest city in the UK. I don't think it's much of a debate.
They're the biggest.
Yeah, Arsenal are definitely the biggest team.
Arsenal are the biggest team
There's
here.
no
You
doubt.
know what it is. You know why I put Chelsea?
Because you're a Chelsea fan.
No, not. To be honest, I was this close to putting Arsenal, but I feel like there's been a shift, man. I feel like in the last 20 years, Arsenal haven't won the title for 20 years, right? Their biggest trophy in the last 20 years has been the FA Cup. Yes, I'm talking about 20 years, but before then, if we're talking about, are we talking about Premier League or just in general, or?
I feel like Premier League, yeah, it's who's bigger, but in general,
no, because if we're talking,
you guys take what you want.
I feel like you're not taking into consideration the success Chelsea have had in Europe. We've won 2 Champions Leagues, we've won 2 Europas, we've won every European trophy twice. Arsenal have been to 1 final. They've been to a couple semis. And I feel like winning European trophies should count more than you guys are saying.
I have to say that I don't think bigness of a club is just based on trophies.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
agree.
something
I hear
about the scale, the reputation, the fan base, the history that Arsenal just have, the other two don't. They just historically are a bigger club, a better supported club.
Far
For me,
better
it's
before the
Arsenal.
90s, before the Premier League as well. They win this by a distance. Even this century, when they haven't even been that good for most of it, they've still won a number of trophies. They're still attracted top talent. I think they've got to be top of the list. Man City, in 10, 20 years, we can talk about them potentially being second, but it's
City above
far
Chelsea,
too early.
That's just you're just violent.
It has to be
for no
Chelsea.
They
reason.
could come for you.
So how can they come for us and not Arsenal?
Well, eventually.
Eventually, they could come for Arsenal as well. But at the
They
moment,
could come
Arsenal
for Man
have got-
United eventually.
Arsenal have got hundreds of years of
He wanted
over
to go that
100
way.
years of history behind them.
On the base, we've got like different knowledge bouncing around. Like City, they've had Pep Guardiola for 5 years, the biggest, arguably the greatest manager ever. He's been in charge there. They've got some of the greatest footballers we've ever seen in the Premier League. I don't think you can say that Chelsea are a bigger side than them at this very moment in time. I get what you guys are saying.
They
I
had
agree
like
with you.
15 people at their stadium after they had just won the Champions League.
You've had 15 managers this season.
No, but that is not
Shows you the
that's not
time.
comparable.
But
like,
football
what-
didn't start when Pep arrived at Man City.
They're still a big team. They've still been around for a long time.
If it was like who's been most successful over the last 10 years,
I would agree.
It's got to
totally.
be City. But it's who's the bigger club, and City can't be anything other than bottom.
I can hear what you're saying about Arsenal's fan base and stuff like that, but I think it's not as big as you're saying it is compared to Chelsea. And on top, I'm adding the trophies as well because they're not successful.
For me personally, the gap between Arsenal and Chelsea is closer than the gap between Chelsea and Man City. Man City, I think, are a distant.
And the most neutral dog in the fight.
I agree.
I've got a dog in the fight.
Well, you're a London fan.
You don't want to credit Chelsea.
This is less mental than that. I'm telling you.
No, it's not because it's not that far. I can put Arsenal top. I don't mind doing that, but you cannot tell me that Manchester City are a bigger club than Chelsea. That is one of the maddest things you've ever said. Don't just nod your head. Get this guy out of it or minus points.
Will you put Arsenal?
Yeah, I'll swap it. I don't mind.
It is mad that City, treble winners this season, are. I could not.
Mate, if this was the most successful club, the best club at the moment, we would all agree with you. We'd have City top.
I'm not. I'm not.
In the last 10
honestly
years,
not
bro.
too wedded to this. I'm happy to switch.
So, okay, come on over to us.
No,
bring us
man.
the points.
No, man. I'm not. You know what? I'm keeping it the same, man.
What?
It's too close. He
suddenly thought about the points.
It's you know what it is? It's too
Tactical.
close for me to switch it like that. I feel like them not being successful in Europe isn't good enough. It has to count for something, bro.
Okay. Points to Joe and Dougie.
Thank you. Correct decision.
Logic.
There. Well done.
Okay, guys, 1 to 5 on this one. You are going to be ranking the names that I mentioned for who's got the toughest job next season. Now, again, this is subjective to whatever you're feeling at that time. Pochettino, Postecoglou, Arteta, Eric Ten Hag, and Eddie Howe. 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, you've all got Poch top. You three have Postecoglou second.
Obviously.
Postecoglou's in fifth.
I don't think he's second.
For Sam.
Why would you put him second?
Well, he's coming into a squad that is being decimated, potentially losing Harry Kane. They've just come off the back of a terrible season with no European football. The fans are up in arms.
He's never worked in English football.
Very unproven track record in England and top European level. I think it's a very hard job.
But why does it mean he has more pressure? Surely that means he has less pressure because the job he's coming into is much harder.
That wasn't the question. It wasn't who's got the most pressure.
Was it not?
Was it who's got the
hardest job?
The hardest job, I think.
The hardest.
The hardest job is obviously Poch, isn't it? Like they're 12th and they've got a 50-man squad. Like that is very difficult to sort out. Postecoglou, though, I think has a very, very tough job in his hand as well. The squad is not set up for how he wants to play football. He has to be backed almost perfectly in the summer by Daniel Levy to have any chance of success. I think he has to be second.
Henry, you've got Arteta bottom. Yeah. Where's Arteta on your list, lads?
Fourth. Definitely.
Fourth as well.
Yeah. Come on. He's been at Arsenal a long time now. Clear, going in the right direction under him. They love him. Second place. I think he could have a bad season and still be fine next year.
So could Hylo.
They're not gonna. There's no Eddie Howe. I think with new owners, I think if you look at the ambition of where they're trying to get to, you can just imagine you guys involved in football, them just pulling the trigger on Eddie Howe. Things start to go bad because he's actually set himself such a high bar this season with Newcastle and what they've achieved this year. I can just see if they're thinking we're a team going places, there are going to be other managers available throughout the season. I can just see them twitching if things start to go rough because suddenly Newcastle have a lot to live up to. And Eddie Howe, he's the kind of guy.
I think he's overachieved this year. I mean, as the comments in our last video suggested, he's a very popular man right now, and they don't seem like they're in a massive rush. These Saudi owners, they are taking their time over the whole thing, and I think Arteta has a harder job next year because. Unless they're second next year, people will say, "Oh, they've regressed," which probably won't be the case. But he's got higher expectations.
About Howe, though.
But Howe, I think it's their first year back in the Champions League. I don't think Newcastle fans would expect to finish top 4 next year. I think Arsenal fans will want to push City closest.
I just think that Arteta has comfortably on here the most settled group of players that he knows exactly how to get the best out of.
But he has to challenge. He has to challenge for the title now.
He's for sure going to have a better transfer win than anybody else on this page.
Declan
Rice is going to get done and dusted early doors, and that is a transformative effect.
No, I think that. So I've switched mine. Yeah, I've put Post second, Arteta third, and
just remember that he's already changed his mind.
Ten Hag fourth. No, I didn't change my mind. I got the question wrong here, but I actually think the reason why those middle three have got the hardest job is because not Spurs too tough. Arteta and Ten Hag, they have to challenge for the title. Ten Hag can't. He's had a decent year this year.
Do you think
He's
Ten Hag
won a trophy. He came third. Arteta second. They lost it in the last few games. They have to be in that conversation now. If they regress, it's going to look worse on them.
I
than
think they've got to be in the
anyone else
conversation for second. I don't think they have to challenge. Like we've just seen.
So City put up 100 points. They have to put up 100
So are we
points?
saying that City and now
I think the fact
no
City-
one else is going to be
City
challenging
have
for the
just
title?
won the treble. I actually think that takes a little bit of pressure off these managers.
Yeah,
I don't
I think
agree,
if they're in the conversation
Yeah.
for second, I don't think Arteta's under pressure if they're 10 points off City at halfway.
Look how close he got. He's got to get every transfer right. He's got to beat because other teams are going to get better. Chelsea, hopefully, are going to be back in the conversation. Spurs are going to be back in the
Why would they
conversation.
get worse?
Liverpool are
They're
going to
not
be
gonna
back
get
in the
worse,
conversation.
are
Liverpool already started making signings. There's going to be pressure on Arteta.
I think it's bizarre to say that Ten Hag and Arteta have the same amount of pressure.
I think
Ten Hag finished 20 points off the
because
title.
you guys are a team that are one of the most successful teams in Premier League history. So you've always got that pressure regardless. Finish third, you won a trophy. Everyone's saying that you're going in that direction. If you're not in that conversation, that is not good enough, bro. It's not good enough. So you're saying if you finish the exact same next season, you'll be happy.
I think if Ten Hag next season finishes around 80 points, that's a very successful season for him.
So challenging for the title,
But also,
no one's expecting to challenge.
I think he's got a hard
for
job,
the
but
title.
he's got to be. I can't even see where you've got him 4.
Yeah, I put him fourth.
Yeah, fine. I don't even know what we're debating about. You got him third, fourth. That's fine.
Well, you got him basically the same as us. I think you've got Arteta too high person. I think he's got the best squad here. Very settled. He's not.
I think
he's impossible to sack.
Just look at the way that they talk about the Arsenal team. It's not that Arteta ever does anything wrong. It's just they need new players to come in and fill certain positions. It's all, he seems to have created an illusion where like he's not the problem ever with things that are going
It's
wrong
not an
at
illusion.
Arsenal.
He's not.
Well,
He's
yeah,
really
so that's the thing, and I think that's going to carry him through next year. I think he's got the easiest job. They're not going to want to rupture that. I think the same with Manchester United. They finally landed on a decent manager again in Ten Hag, who's getting people in the right direction. They're still probably a few transfer windows away, realistically.
The only reason I've got him there is
because
because of the ownership situation. If the ownership situation goes wrong, the pressure could build on him.
I just think Eddie Howe, Zach, I'm looking at you at this one. I just think Eddie Howe, these Newcastle owners, new to the business, I think if they start having people talking their ear because they're trying to get bigger and bigger.
Dan Ashworth's the decision maker in that club right now.
I still think that there's going to be lots of people wanting that Newcastle job, and I think it could make his position very precarious if things start to go wrong next season, which could happen because let's face it, out of all these, I think out of all these teams, Newcastle could suffer the biggest drop off.
I'm talking about the others compared to him. I still think that he's not got the hardest job because he's. If you look at what he's done,
you get him a 5, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
He's got the easiest job.
He's the easiest.
So
He's got the easiest job.
him?
I agree with the points. I don't agree with him being where he is. I don't agree with him being where he is on the list because I think Arteta, like you said that he's done well last season, which is great, yeah. But next season he's got to make the right signings to progress the team. Yes, but look at what we're talking about. Eddie Howe, they're happy with Champions League football. I think that they will still. I think that they'll still be happy with Europe being in that European conversation. I don't think that if they finish in the top 6 and they were to get to another final, that they will be like, oh, he's had a terrible season. I don't think that that's the case because Liverpool are going to come back, Chelsea are going to come back. Like I've said, Spurs are going to be in the conversation. So I don't think Howe's got that extreme pressure like the other.
Newcastle, I think Howe's got to be bottom.
I don't think he's got to be bottom.
I think he's got to be bottom.
Arteta. First year back in the Champions League, Newcastle fans are in
Arteta
they are delighted.
Who on this list's job is the safest?
Arteta,
How?
without doubt.
No, it's not. It's
How?
Because Newcastle are the biggest
likelihood
likelihood
about this a month ago. You guys were all like, "Oh, he's overachieved the most out of any Premier League manager," which I disagreed with at the time. But now you're all like, "Oh, he's got the easiest job."
Arteta's job is still the safest on this.
I think they're all pretty safe.
I think they're all pretty. I mean, Arteta and Howe are very close. They're both pretty safe. I think Arteta could finish 5th next year and he wouldn't be fired.
Okay, point to Henry.
Yeah, you argued well there. I'm not gonna lie. He argued really
well. We got a little bit lost at some stages.
I got the question wrong.
Okay, as we said earlier, the transfer window is open. So let's talk about some players who may be moving clubs. And look, we've spoken a little bit about Chelsea. So I want to talk about Chelsea's midfield. Who will Chelsea miss more next season? Kante, Kovacic or Mason Mount?
It's deeper than football, man. That's all I'm saying. It's deeper than football still. It's deeper.
3, 2, 1. Kovacic for Dougie.
Yeah.
Thought we were going to have an easy one then.
So did I. I thought everyone was going to be on the same
I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's very tight between them. It's obviously not Kante. Kante was injured for the entire year. I don't think Chelsea have very good central midfield options as we film this on Monday. And they look very short in that area. Kovacic has consistently played a lot more games.
Just play the same bloke.
Yeah, but they don't have any. They still need more central midfielders than they do a number 10 because they might not play with that system. And I feel like their lack of options in central midfield could be kind of exposed by the fact that Kovacic has gone for a pretty cheap fee.
Diggs, it's deeper than football, man. It's deeper than football, and I think with Mount, like that's why I can hear. I thought it was going to be a clean sweep because I feel like all of the players have been integral at different points. Yes, Kovacic has been more consistent this season, but he hasn't necessarily been that go-to midfielder because of he's had injuries as well where he's been out. And Enzo plays in the exact same position, but with Mount is the heart of Chelsea. Like a lot
of Chelsea fans disagree.
On Twitter. If you look,
I agree.
If you look to Chelsea fans in the stadium or in and around the club, Mount is in real life. That Mount is everyone's favourite player.
On the basis of last season, though, Kovacic had a far bigger impact on your season. I know it's the worst in your history or whatever.
I think of the last 3 years, Mount's won 2 Player of the Year awards.
Yeah.
I agree. He's had a better last 2-3 years, but in terms of immediate impact,
integral to winning the trophies.
Immediate impact, you might 5 years younger.
I think what he offers is a
potential.
The question was how much you're going to miss the next season, wasn't it?
The question was who will Chelsea miss more next season?
Next season,
Mount.
I think so.
Of the 2 players, I think if Pochettino arrived at that club now and went, "Who am I backing as my boy?"
Who are you going to build a team around?
I
It'll
think
be
he'd want
Mount.
both of them, though. I think he'd want both of them.
I
I think both of them are potentially quite risky sales.
I think because of Enzo, Kovacic can almost be moved on. I think Enzo and I think they have to sign another DM for sure. But I think because of Enzo's output in that position, you can get away with not playing Kovacic. Whereas Mount could have been so vital in that final third next season.
And I would go as far to say is that if Mount wasn't as injured as he was this season, I don't think we would have been as bad. And I'm being deadly serious.
Yeah, I agree.
In seasons when we haven't been great, Mount has been that star player or that consistent player, not just in terms of his ability, but his drive, like what you think a Chelsea midfielder is supposed to be. If he leaves, it will be way worse than like Kovacic, Kante. They've been great servants to the club, but everything that he offers, like into everything,
especially to a rival.
Go, bro.
Especially to a rival.
If the question was over the next 5-10 years, obviously it's Mount. He's been better than Kovacic consistently over the last 3-4 years. But last season, Kovacic played a lot more games and was far more influential in this Chelsea side. I think you look quite short in midfield. You look very short of creativity as well, which Mount's never been really massively part of Mount's game. But I think immediate impact in this side, Kovacic.
I think it's unfair to say.
You also need to shift about 25 players.
It's unfair to say because Kante and Mount were both basically injured for the majority of last season as well.
I'm calling it there. Points to Sam and Joe.
Thank you.
Mate, you said nothing.
You didn't say much. You didn't say much.
You did not contribute. No contribution.
Butt in for the point of it.
0.
That's what you got to think about a point.
Mate, it's a tactical game.
It is a tactical game.
Scandal. Picking my moment.
Okay. 3 names. 1, 2, and 3.
So you do want us to list?
Yeah. Who is the best value?
Ooh.
40 million for Raya, 50 million for Onana, or 70 million for Maignan?
Oh. Wow, that's a great question.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, show. Onana, Onana bottom.
How have you guys have got Onana
bottom.
top at 50 million? He was a free transfer, like
What do you mean? But
last summer.
So what does that mean?
What does that? That doesn't
So
affect his value.
you're spending £50 million on a guy you could have got for free last year.
But they didn't get him for free.
It does. It's not a good. It's not a great deal. When you could have got him for free last year, you just look like an idiot.
You're about
with no mental
You're about to
preparation.
spend £40 million on a goalkeeper you can get for free next summer. So,
but that's completely different.
It's not completely
not
different.
completely different.
Look at the Mount
different.
deal. Look at the Kovacic deal. Players with 1 year left on their deal do retain.
He's
do
a
retain
goalkeeper.
some value.
He's a goalkeeper. All right.
You could have got him for free last year.
What does that matter?
And you're spending
What
£50
does
million,
that
one of
matter?
the biggest fees
He's
in world history on a
unbelievable.
goalkeeper.
50 million is
honestly,
completely fine for Onana.
that do with
But
anything, though?
we're talking about value signings, not who's the best.
But we're talking about
agree.
all 3 keepers are quality. Yeah, you're talking
I
about
agree.
because the fact that he was free, he could have been free last season.
Yes.
it makes it a bad purchase this season. It doesn't.
If Chelsea spend £50 million on Onana and they could have got him for free last year, that is
why
not
are you living
a
in the
sensible-
past? We're living in now.
It's not a good value signing. It's a good signing.
So you
but
should
it's
miss
not
out.
value.
You should miss out on a good signing because you could have got him for free
I'm not
last
saying,
season.
I'm not saying you
It's a
shouldn't
good
do
signing.
it.
I
I'm
said
just
it's a
saying
good
it's
signing.
not
It's a
a
good
good value signing.
No,
But
it is good value.
50
I
million is not
disagree
good
with that.
value.
I still think it's good. I
50
think
million
it's
for
good
a
value.
keeper of his quality. 50 million in
Guys,
this
I
silly
see him
market.
playing at centre back, and you're
Guys,
telling me
in
that
and
I
of
shouldn't
itself,
want to
that
sign
is
him.
fine. Any normal time, but he was free last year.
David
Raya's going to be
David
free
Raya's gonna be
next
free next
season.
I know, but players with 1 year left on their deal
year.
still retain
But one-
value. I've said it already. Right,
So
come on.
players who join other clubs as free agents doesn't mean they don't retain any value at all.
I know, but
So he's
when
gone up to
Chelsea needed a goalkeeper last summer as well, why didn't they get him then for
Well,
free?
Because different. It was a different circumstance, bro.
We
If
need
you're
a
looking at,
goalkeeper
if you're
then.
looking
We
at
didn't
the
know-
we
we
didn't
need a
know that
goalkeeper.
Mendy was going to be injured the way he was. Didn't know
Come
that.
on, we all know that
No.
Mendy's not a top goalkeeper.
No, but we didn't know
you
that
had Kepa as the
No, but
backup.
we
At that
never knew
point-
that he was going to be how he was this season. And on top of that, if you have these free keepers and you're looking at what they, even if you're looking at their value from what they've done this season or all of their contracts, Onana has to be top of that list because of how he's progressed this season as
I
well.
disagree
The
with that.
only
I
people
think
you
if-
can blame are
I
the
think-
clubs that didn't go in for Onana because he
Onana
was
was-
clearly a quality keeper.
And also
he
the
had a difficult
circumstance
time
around
as
him
well. He had a
being
difficult
free.
time. He came off
He had a
that
difficult
ban.
side
People
even
wouldn't have-
getting into the Inter Milan side
And
at
he's
the
gone-
start of this
yeah,
year.
and he's
Mike
gone and
Maignan is
proven-
the highest quality, but £70 million is an enormous amount of money for a goalkeeper.
I disagree. I actually disagree that 70 million is an enormous amount of money. I think if you were spending
it's only been
70 million
topped
to
twice.
get one of the top 2 or 3 strikers in the world, you'd be saying this is decent
Facts,
value. It's
facts.
fine.
So why can't you
value.
spend 50 million on Onana right now?
I
Because
think
he's
that's
gone
fine.
there and he's proven
I
exactly.
don't have a massive problem spending 50, but I think Magic Mike.
Are you
So
joking?
I think to spend an extra 20 million to get Maignan, I would happily do that. I would do that. Would you not?
Well, that's why I put my Raya as the worst value.
So,
here.
so you wouldn't spend the extra 20 to get Maignan?
Over Onana?
Yeah.
No, not over Onana. I think they're both very good keepers, but I don't think he's 20 million.
Swap
I think
them
there's only
two.
one
He's not
goalkeeper on
20
this
Swap
list
them
that's
two.
close to being in the top 3 keepers in the world, and it's Maignan.
Oh,
I think
come on.
Onana good with his feet. Good with
Onana's
his feet, but I don't
unbelievable.
think he's
Onana
Magnan's
is an
level.
unbelievable shot
He's not
stopper,
Magnan's level.
and he's definitely not.
Not all round. Not all round. I don't think he's Manuel's level.
Manuel's
It's
not
not a
Magnan's
20 million discrepancy. I wouldn't.
But the
That's
ability
fine.
on the ball, especially with the teams that the teams that
Yeah.
we're talking about, like
high level.
Chelsea, United. If you have Onana for 50 mil, I'm sorry, you have to do that. And the only thing is,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The only thing with 70 mil, yeah, in the past we haven't really seen. Like I feel like you can spend that money
That could be a
elsewhere.
game-changing
You could-
position. Look at
you-
Alisson.
you
Look
could
at
work
how
for
Al-
Alisson.
look at how Alisson changed. That could be a game-changing position.
Nah, true.
Same with Edison. If you
This is
spend the
right.
right
But
amount of money,
it's
on
not
it,
whether it's a good signing, it's like the best value.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
and then
I think
Onana
70
is
million's
better
amazing.
value than
It's not
Maignan.
a bargain for Manuel. That is probably his.
It's not a
that's
bargain
probably
for any
his
of these
value.
players.
Yeah,
None
it's
of
not
these
bargain
players
for
are a
any.
bargain.
I think David Raya is the closest to being priced at his right amount here.
40
Just
million.
because Onana was free last year. I can't
I'm
say that
changing mine,
again.
by the way.
But David Raya is. I think he's probably a 35 million pound keeper. That's a £10 million overpay, and you're getting someone that's
What would you say
ready-made
Magic-
for the
these are
Spurs.
What would you
all
say
exact-
Magic Mike is there? Value?
I think he's probably.
as the second or third best keeper in the world right now.
Again, it's not the worst deal either, but it's definitely not the most valuable.
But
Like
if
best
you're talking
value.
about a 26-year-old that is in that conversation already, and you know that you need a keeper for the next 6 to 7 years, I can't lie. I hear what you're saying about Magic
I
Mike.
just
That's why
don't-
I put him up
think
in my list.
I think like these two just aren't on his level. I think 70 million is
Yeah,
fine.
But we're not
It's
ranking goalkeepers. We're ranking value.
I know, but
Yes,
I,
but
I
which is
agree. And
Why
the reason I've
Onana
got-
is better value than Maignan
Dukes,
at this
why
point
is
in time.
Raya the best value then?
Because I think
How old is he? How old is he again?
he's got 1 year
27.
left
The
on his
oldest.
deal. I think it's not a huge overpay to pay 40. I think Onana at 50, when you could have got him for free last year, as I keep on saying, is a big overpay.
I don't think that's a
Maignan,
point, man.
goalkeepers rarely go for that
Makes-
fee. Yeah, he's
rarely
been
available
injured.
at his
He had
level.
injury issues this year. He was exceptional the year before, but he's had injury issues this year. And I think he's a top quality keeper. But I just think in terms of value, it's David Raya.
10 million more for Onana over Raya. It has to happen.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
simply
yeah,
has
yeah,
to
I can't
happen.
lie.
He is an
What-
unbelievable
Can you not
keeper.
let's not start disrespecting David Raya.
No, he's a
His
good-
level this season has been outrageous. The highest save percentage in the Premier League, second most saves in the Premier
There's
League.
no
His
way-
post-shot expected
but
goals
he's-
numbers on for Chelsea.
There's
His
no way
distribution's
he's going to go for
insane.
the 40 million which has been quoted around. There's no way that Brentford are going to deal at that price. They're going to go down on that. He is a great keeper. I'm not going to lie, but he hasn't got the
What
sort of
Onana
previous
did
experience
at
of what
Champions
these
League
two have
final.
achieved.
If they're going
What
down
these
on
two have
that-
achieved.
if they're going down on that fee, surely he's even better value.
No. Onana for 50 million. Having seen everything that we've seen this season for Inter getting to the Champions League
He was in and out
final.
the side until January, February time.
He's rested in like the league, in the cup competitions for Handanovic.
I agree that he's had an amazing Champions League campaign, but he was a free transfer last year.
What does it matter that he was free? He came off a ban.
world-class keeper on this list.
Okay, it wasn't about who was the world-class keeper, though, was it?
That being free thing is just not a point. That can't be a point.
Henry gets 2 points.
What?
2.
Yeah, he made Sam change his board, and I like the way he argued. And Dougie, I'm very close for a point there, Dougie. Very close for a point.
Magic Mike.
But you just said he was the best.
No, 70 million for the best in their position is.
No, to be fair, I didn't think like that, but that does make sense.
Okay.
That does make sense.
Okay. Now, the way this one's going to work is I'm going to name you guys a player, and you're going to write where they should join.
Ooh.
You will then be asked. You will then be arguing why they should go there.
Okay.
Okay, the first player we are going to be talking about is Caicedo. Which club should he join this summer? Okay. 3, 2, 1, reveal. Chelsea, 3 Chelseas. Joe with
Don't say that comment like that again, dude. See, if you were him, you'd be great. You'd be grateful to join Chelsea. Talking about.
What am I saying here? I can't believe this is the answer. I think the obvious, by a mile answer, is Arsenal.
If they sign Declan Rice as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I think very clearly Thomas Partey is being phased out that side. We saw it at the back end of the season. There is definitely steps being taken to phase him out of the team. I think Arsenal are by far the most attractive destination for him as a player. I think he's going to play a bucket load of minutes in that defensive midfield position. He offers cover at right back. As a 21-year-old, looking at across the league, to be honest with you, other than City, Arsenal are so far clear as an attractive destination.
I completely agree with you on that point. To be fair,
thank you.
You'd want to join Arsenal if you're the choice right now, but Declan Rice going there is a big problem for Caicedo. It absolutely is. If he went to Chelsea, he'd have the opportunity to be that starring figure with Conte now going, with Kovacic gone as well. If he goes to Chelsea, and it's still fine. It's like we like to laugh about it, but Chelsea is still a big team.
I agree, but they're 40
maybe the second
points back
biggest.
From where Arsenal are. They're 40 points back from where Arsenal
No, but let's not do that because we've been in this position before and won leagues after. Like we're still a top club.
You will not win the league next year.
Yeah, well, okay, and if that happens, I'm gonna clip that out. But the reality is, Chelsea is still a top club to go to, and you can't tell me if we're losing all of these midfielders that are in a position. They were experienced and they have experience in the Premier League.
You are still a mess.
This is why we need some clarification whether we're talking from his perspective, because obviously I'd rather join Arsenal next year. They're in the Champions League, but which club needs him more? Chelsea. There is a gaping hole. Which transfer makes most sense from his perspective?
Even from his perspective, though, like Henry said, if Declan Rice is joining, yes, you can say that they're phasing Partey out,
clearly.
But the reality is, it might not take him 2 or 3 weeks for him to get to know Arteta's system.
He's 21, mate. He can be phased into a team at the elite
and if
Premier League winning level.
21,
Chelsea, he is coming into that team and he's starting straight.
If he's 21, he doesn't need to worry right now about jumping to the very greatest team of all time. Like, if he's 21, he can easily go to Chelsea.
They're not the greatest team of all time. They're a team in development as well.
They're a team. He can afford to go to a team. He can afford to go to a team that are not in the Champions League right now, and he can afford to be the main man in a position which they need him the most.
He can go to a team in the Champions League, be one of the main men.
But Rice will be ahead of him. Partey will be ahead of him at the moment.
Rice is clearly going to play in the Xhaka role. It's abundantly obvious they are going to also try and get another DM alongside him. If Arsenal are on the table, and this isn't me saying from the team's perspective, this is me saying from the players' perspective, if Arsenal are available, to pick Chelsea over them would be one of the most bizarre decisions in football right now.
Joe, if it was Liverpool and Chelsea, who would you say he would be better off going to?
You'd say Liverpool.
That'd be a closer call.
Liverpool have also got Europa League football next year.
Yeah,
but I just think it matters whether we're talking about from his perspective, because obviously it's Arsenal, or whether we're talking about where he is an instant fit and an instant starting 11 player week in week out.
He's an instant fit Arsenal man. He is an instant fit.
I don't know. There's still more competition at Arsenal than Chelsea right now.
Okay, we've got a few players to get through. Points to Henry and Jay. Which club should Victor Osimhen join in the summer? Now, I'm also willing to let you guys have Napoli. if you think he should stay at a club or they should stay at their current club.
If we've all got different teams, can we all have like a little pitch? Rather
Yeah,
than
happily.
Well, you don't like the
Surprised you're
current
not liking the
format.
new system because you're picking up some points recently.
All right.
I
Just
like.
want you to get back into it, mate.
So,
Okay,
Ever
3,
since the Onana
2,
round,
1, reveal. United, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid.
Okay, I think for Real Madrid, the number 9 slot at Madrid comes up maybe once a decade. I think Victor Osimhen is clearly the number 9 for the next decade. It's a very, very natural fit. I think Harry Kane, yes, would be amazing there. He would be sensational there. But he is 30. Probably not going to be around here for the next decade. I think Osimhen at Madrid just makes the most sense ever. I think he is a complete Galactico of a player. They can afford him. He would be playing with superstars. I just don't see another club being able to compete with Madrid for his signature if they really want him.
Yeah. I think Bayern Munich. I mean, Real Madrid are absolutely fine as well. I think Kane is a more natural Benzema replacement than Victor Osimhen. They're quite different strikers. And Bayern like a focal point, leading the line. I think he'd be absolutely unbelievable in the Bundesliga. Has played in the Bundesliga, of course, had that difficult spell at Wolfsburg. Bayern probably won't go for this deal. It's probably going to be too much for them. But it's almost a guarantee of trophies. Real Madrid next year. You know, Barcelona are still going to be in and around for La Liga. Man City for the Champions League as well. He's got more chance of instant success at Bayern. I'd go there.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's almost less pressure on his shoulders going to Bayern than going to Real Madrid at this very moment in time, which is why I think Kane, with all the numbers that he's put up over the years, would be much more suited to the Real Madrid position. As to be honest, kind of what Dougie said, I think Kane's much better at drawing players in and kind of doing the Benzema role that we've seen over the number of years. Whereas the greatest success. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Kane was too friendly. Too friendly. I'm sorry, because Dougie spoke about Bayern. No. You could say the same thing about Kane at Bayern. If Kane went to Bayern, he would be the
That's not the question, Joe.
bringing in the wide players.
He'd be unbelievable at Bayern. I'm not refusing that. That's not the question, though. It's where Victor Osimhen's began.
I know, but you were talking about Kane going to Madrid. And that was the point you made.
You both brought up Harry Kane?
Madrid.
Facts.
So I can make the same point.
Listen. At Bayern Munich, a team that have proven to have a point man and been the success of the years. They've gone back to Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who's looking over the team right now. That is the player that they'll be wanting to get in through the doors. I think Tuchel will be wanting to.
All right, Margaret Thatcher.
All right, Sam. I can't believe it. Everyone's had a nice little speech, and yet
Don't let him get inside your head. Don't let him get inside your head. Sam, you know Manchester United.
I'm finished up now.
The reason I've said Manchester United is there's two reasons.
Reason number one, please.
Reason number one, yeah. We've seen multiple interviews of the man saying he wants to come to the Premier League. He's almost offering himself to the Premier League, whoever wants to put up the piece to get him, yeah. The second reason, Manchester United need a goal scorer.
Is he American then?
Yeah, but so do these two teams.
Manchester United need a goal scorer. Let's be honest.
I don't know. Bayern don't have a striker.
If Manchester United, if
Manchester
United had a goal scorer that is scoring goals on a consistent basis and not just relying on Marcus Rashford, they would be in not even just a title conversation. I think that they'll be in conversation for different trophies. I feel like that's the thing that they've been missing this season. Why are you clenching your jaw?
I don't get me wrong. I think that does propel United to a new level. I don't think it
still need a new goalkeeper, better depth.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So the only thing you can say from their actual current seed, and this might just be me, yeah. I don't think United are that far off them competing and being in that conversation. Yes, City are very clear, but to be close to them or even be at Arsenal, what Arsenal were this season. Yeah. I think if they got Osimhen in to score 25 plus goals, they would be.
But the other trophies you were kind of hinting at is more like the Champions League.
The club you
don't have to be the greatest to be. You don't have to be the greatest to win the Champions League.
I don't think anyone, even if Osimhen went to Man United this summer, I don't think anyone's like Man United are now in the conversation for the Champions League.
The club that needs him the most is United.
It is. It's Manchester United.
No, it's not. It's not though.
You've got Leroy Sané, Gnabry. You've got Musiala. You've got Muller. You've got Vinicius Junior. You've got Rodrigo. You've got all of these players. Look, go into the Manchester United front line and tell me how many men score over 10 goals, bro.
It's not just who needs him most. I think we can argue about that all day. It's where would you rather go?
He wants to come to the Premier League.
These two have a much bigger guarantee.
If you look at the way that Ten Hag plays football, he doesn't really include a point man like this. If you look at the way that even like Wout Weghorst was running around getting involved in play, what they need is a striker. What they need is a striker who will kick that wise.
That was so head teacher.
That's the joke, man. You're screaming. What they need is a striker who can drift out wide, drift inside. And I'm sorry, Osimhen's not that man. He's just a poacher in the box. And if that's what you're looking for,
a poacher in the box.
if that's what you're looking for, Bayern Munich is the
Don't-
team for
don't
him,
do
and
that.
that's where he would go. They want him. He'll be a
Real,
success. He'll score goals for fun. He'll win
Galactico.
trophies. They'll win 20
Bro,
Bundesligas in a row.
He spoke to Igalo.
Okay.
Igalo's
Okay.
told him what the theatre of dreams is like, and he wants to go there, bro.
It
That's
cannot
how
be
it is.
United. Don't even think about it.
Points to Joe and Dougie.
What?
Next
Yeah,
round.
Zach,
Back in the
that
game.
is crazy. I spoke from the player's perspective. I spoke from the team's perspective. What more do you want
Who's
from
next?
me?
I said the same things as Dougie.
You said it.
The same things as him.
Pick your mic up.
More. The same things and more. How do I not get the point?
you went
Just because he
supersonic.
went first.
He didn't have his mic.
This is a stitch up.
Right, who's next? Who's next, Shalab?
Okay. James Maddison. Which club should James Maddison join?
I just don't want to say Chelsea for everyone. I could literally say Chelsea for everyone.
I think it's going to be pretty.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Spurs, Newcastle, Newcastle,
No.
Newcastle.
Come on, Obey. It's time for Champions League football, man.
The jump's got to be made now.
I hear what you're saying, but if we're talking about it, like Newcastle are hoping to be in that conversation for the next few years, and it looks like they will.
So Spurs, mate.
No, but if we're talking about historically, or let's say the last 5 seasons, yeah, Spurs have been in that Champions League, European places, yeah. Newcastle, yes, historically they've been in that conversation, but they've just jumped back in. Like we've said, they might not be in that conversation next year because of the other
Who's
teams
better
that are going to
placed?
be in
Do
and
you
around.
think,
But
do you think Spurs
Spurs
will
are?
finish with Newcastle
No,
next year?
I think Spurs need him more. I think Spurs need him more. If you look at the team that they have, they have. If
I agree with you, Sam.
if Kane was to leave now, yeah,
Wasn't the question there, was it?
we're looking at a very thin team attacking wise. Like they don't have really any stars.
Spurs
I feel like
need him more.
if
But does
goes-
Madison need to go to Spurs more? Surely
But
he's
he-
going to be like,
but
look,
he-
I need to be
he
in the
needs a
Champions
step- he
League.
needs
I
a
need to be
step-
establishing
he needs
myself
a- he
as
needs-
an elite talent.
he needs a step up. The step up could be Spurs, and I think that
It's not a big enough step.
I think it is. I think going from a relegated Leicester side to a Spurs side that is definitely
Champions League,
gonna be in the
baby. Come on.
Yes, but at the same time, they've still got a quality. So is everyone saying that Madison walks into that team and he starts straight away?
Newcastle.
Yeah?
He will if he gets
Newcastle.
signed for 50 million.
That's interesting. I don't necessarily think it will be that.
I think it's more competitive. I agree. Spurs do need him more, but Madison, it's just so clear
From
that
his
he shouldn't go to
perspective,
Spurs.
I think
From
it's
his
really,
perspective.
Newcastle's a good step up for
I
this
think
point
it's
in
just
his
easy
career.
to say because it's Champions League football.
Is
but
the club moving in a direction that Spurs currently aren't as
But
well?
Spurs are
Yeah.
lost.
But you can't say that because of a blip of a season of them not being
It's not
a
been a blip, man.
European
Spurs
spot.
have been rubbish for a long time.
I wouldn't say rubbish in
They-
the last few years.
They've all been
If you think about
disappointed
it,
the last
when
2-3
Harry
years.
Kane, if Harry Kane goes soon, then really Spurs are in a deep amount of trouble. Son is clearly past it. If you're looking at those,
Son is not. Just
well, it's not clear.
past
Well,
it. He was
Son,
second half of the
Son,
season,
Son
he was
is
great.
approaching. Son is approaching the back end of very much the back end of his career. They need a lot of surgery to get their team back in the right direction. Madison could walk into a Newcastle side that have got options all across the pitch, and he could probably excel there. He's got some decent strikers.
I think it's just for him. I think it's just a big risk, just because I think Newcastle
But
won't
how is
necessarily.
Spurs not
be-
a risk, bro?
It is, but to a certain extent. Like I think Spurs are still gonna be in that conversation.
So
Like
are
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
The reason why Newcastle,
Are you
everyone,
tempted to change?
no, I'm not. Everyone's everyone's rated.
Come on, let's get down to business.
No, wait, everyone's
You meant
rated.
it.
No,
Come on.
listen. Everyone's rated Newcastle because they overachieved.
Sam, the
no
pen's there.
no one expected Newcastle to
Put it
be
in his hand.
in this conversation for years to come. I think Spurs, if they get the right players, they can
If.
beat.
If
It is a
I think
if.
he's
It is
argued-
a
he's
if.
argued
But I
a
don't
good
think.
point.
I don't
It is
think.
true
I
that
don't
you
think.
need him.
I don't think
Yeah,
Newcastle
we
are
all
not
say
going to
we
be
all
in
agree
a.
they need him.
Yeah,
But
it
the
would-
question is, where should he
it
go?
would be-
He should go to Newcastle.
I think
He
he
should
should-
go
I
to
think-
Newcastle. It'd still be a
I
good
think
move
he
to
should go to
Spurs. It wouldn't be a
Spurs.
terrible move to go to Spurs at this point.
No, it
in
wouldn't.
Madison's
I agree,
career.
but from his perspective, he should go to
He
Newcastle.
should absolutely go to Newcastle.
But it's-
Okay. Point to Dougie.
My goodness.
come back some,
argument.
baby.
Our next player, Harry Maguire.
Ooh.
3, 2, 1, show. Inter Milan,
so
Juve,
we've all gone-
Juve.
That-
You've all gone to Italy. Henry, go. Right.
He needs to
Just
go
so I
there,
can
bro.
say exactly what Dougie's about to say, and then Inter Milan. Let's face it, I think Maguire needs to get out of the UK first and foremost. He needs to go to a different division where he can be out of the limelight. And actually, we've seen Chris Smalling being subject to that. Italian football does seem to suit English defenders. I think he'd be in a back five system there, which would take weight of pressure off him. Inter clearly need him. They've lost Skriniar. Acerbi's 35 years old. Darmian's playing centre half. He could go to Inter Milan, and I think a ball possession side where the pressure will be going further forward. I think Manchester United, I think they struggle with that at times this season. Maybe having so much weight of pressure on him all the time. So yeah, Inter Milan, I think this is the perfect fix for him. Good city, big club. He can play. There'll be plenty of football available for him there because there'll be multiple competitions. I don't think the pressure will be on him to hit the ground running straight away because they have some other Bastoni, etc., who can lead that line from now. I think this is the perfect move for him. Get out, get a new culture, new division, rebuild away from the heats of the Premier League, and also a great team. Still a great team who need a player like Harry Maguire. I think he'd do a great job there, just heading the ball away and winning the fans.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Italy is a great destination. There's massive problems though with the wages, isn't there? They're just not going to be able to afford.
No, I think they can be.
Neither are Juve. Juve posted a record loss by an Italian club last year. They are in real financial issues.
Wowzers!
I'm not necessarily saying that Juve can afford his wages either.
Well, you put it on the board.
I know, but that's what a destination I think would work for him.
They're right, the Champions League, though. I think he can aim higher. He can aim higher. Juve finished in the Conference League last year.
I think Juventus, yes, finished out the Champions League, but we know that was because of the issues off the field. Now that's sorted.
Not going to affect them.
I still think they're probably the second best team in Italy behind Napoli. I think that he would comfortably start in the back line, and it would be a really good move. He'd be joining a historic club, again, in a great city. Like Henry said there, I think, although they have struggled financially, as of Inter Milan, got a massive amount to pay back, I think Juventus probably could offer higher wages. And I think of the two teams, I
also think the lack of European football.
Can we just go back to that final point? Inter Milan have just reached a Champions League final. Juventus are playing Conference League football next year. They both have financial issues. Why is Juventus a better call than Inter Milan?
Because
they play the system that he thrives in and have spaces at centre back.
Because I think these will be competing for the league title next year above these.
I disagree. I disagree. Inter's team. With a few
if you took the points back this year, where would you have finished?
The team's not going to look the same next season, bro.
I agree, third, but Inter really hit their stride towards the end of the campaign. That's really where they.
And why did Juve fall off? Because of the nonsense off the field.
Well,
they did.
No,
they collapsed. Once the ban, all the stuff was going on. Even Allegri said it in one of his post-match press conferences. He literally talked about,
But they might be losing Di Maria. They might be losing Rabiot.
But you keep talking like hypotheticals. Who might win the league? Like you're saying that Inter couldn't afford the same wages as Juventus. You don't know what Maguire might be wanting to do. For starters, they've lost a lot of players like Skriniar, big earners in the squad. There's loads of space in that wage bill for a player like Maguire.
So why are they having to offload all these players? Why are they having to offload at least one major name this summer?
That's not true. If you look at the prize money...
We're lying as Football Daily. We've said it on every video.
If you watch The Explained, which I wrote, by the way, you'll see that because they've reached the Champions League final, they're in a position where they can't... Obviously, they can't go out and buy someone for £100 million, but Harry Maguire on potentially a loan deal, because I think that's probably what it would be at this very point in time. Harry Maguire on a loan deal to Inter, that is not going to be...
Why would United loan him?
They wouldn't loan him.
Why on earth would United loan him?
Even if it was a reduced fee for like 30 million, they still have the capability to go there. Yeah,
just got Kim Min-jae in.
You could absolutely get him on a loan deal if he was really pushing for a move. They said to him, "You can go away for a year and see how it is." Just as Chris Smalling did, he went there on loan at first, and it worked out well.
Different situation.
Maybe not, but
he's the club captain. You're not going to loan.
Come on, club captain.
In all
Bruno,
but name.
Yeah,
come on,
Joe.
He
you know
walked
better
out the Carabao Cup on Old Trafford, bro. He's the captain of the club, bro. He's the captain.
Say what you want. Say what you want. He's still a
either way.
figure at the club.
Wherever he's getting loaned or sold to, it's not to Juve over Inter Milan.
Yes. Okay,
agreed.
Okay. Point to Henry.
Oh. Finally, you gonna stop crying?
Point to Jay.
Yeah, well said.
The last player, guys.
I'm not taking this point system serious anymore.
Me neither.
Harry Kane.
Oh, it's a tapping, isn't it?
Which club should Harry Kane join? 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Jesus Christ.
Tapping.
Well done. Well done.
Trophies.
That's it. Why quickly?
Trophies, glory.
United over
the
biggest
over United, team in world football
fam.
Has to happen.
He has to go.
Is so suited. I know I was talking about Osman there earlier, but probably going to get priced out of a move, isn't he? So Harry Kane playing up front in this Real Madrid side with Vinicius off your left, Kylian Mbappe potentially joining next summer on a free transfer. He's talked about wanting to play off a pivot. Kane is the perfect pivot for Mbappe to play off. The young midfield. You'd be joining Jude Bellingham in that city. Amazing. It would be an amazing move.
If he doesn't go, it will be one of the biggest mistakes of his career.
He might not have a choice. Daniel Levy might say no.
They still have to accept the bid.
As footballers, yeah, we've seen on countless occasions captains, top players, world-class players force moves.
He's
yes,
tried it,
it's
bro.
not. Yes, it's not nice.
Not
he
at all.
tried it. He tried it. But
Whether Kane should like.
no, we all agree.
Go
So
on
there's
strike.
no point. But to a certain extent, like, bro, you've got to put your career forward first and say, fam, let me go, fam, and actually mean
Are we
it.
forgetting when he just didn't turn up for training for a
For
week?
what? A
Yeah.
week? Don't turn up for free. Let them know that you mean it, bro. Man's actually scoring 30 goals plus for last season. He's been scoring 20 goals plus in the Premier League for how many years? His teammate that left him, Kyle Walker, has won how many? Like, do you think he's not looking at man and thinking, like, I could have won this at this club? Haaland coming straight in, winning a
Walker
treble.
didn't have to force a move away. Mate, they were happy to accept that bid for Kyle Walker. It was a serious amount. It's a world record fee for a fullback at the time.
But at Spurs, everyone knows what Daniel Levy's like, right? It's even Harry Redknapp mentioned it the other day. Yeah, there's been players. Modric, did he not force a move as well? He forced a move out of Spurs. So you can do that. Yes, I understand.
It's a
He's a
different
time.
He's a graceful man, and I understand. He's probably he's the captain of the club now. If Lloris leaves,
And it's a
captain
bigger
of
L for
England.
Tottenham.
Obba's just going for a bonus point. We're all in agreement.
Yeah, no, I need points. I need points. What do you mean? But Ram, he needs to leave. He needs to leave.
He
innit?
does, but I
Okay.
don't think it's going to be as simple as you
If he
make
doesn't, then that world class conversation is coming back up soon.
out. You waffler.
Sam can take a point.
Thank
Fine.
you.
That was like throw that dog a bone.
Just shut him up.
Yeah,
Sure
take
thing.
it.
Sure thing. That concludes another great episode of Team Talk. Thank you all so much for watching. Get your categories and questions in the comments below for the transfer season, guys, and we'll try to use them as well. Let us know who you want to see on the show, and I'll try and send them a text. Whether they reply or not is another
Reply,
question.
man.
Let's get to the results, though. That is the big
The
bit.
results are in.
On 2 points, it's Sam Obaseki.
I take it. I should have had at least 4 though, innit? Should have had at least 4.
You played well today.
Thanks, man.
You played well today. Do you play the game Buzz on the PlayStation? That just kind of run with that. Anyway, on to our next position. With 3 points. Dougie Critchley.
Fair play, man.
Ooh.
Right, it's lit.
If Henry wins this, it's because he's just been
There's
whining.
a new king.
He's been whining his ass off, man. What do you mean?
And at the top of the table, it's a draw. Joanne Henry on 5 points.
We need some sort of shootout.
That's
Rock,
stinking.
paper, scissors.
No.
Come
Do
on.
it.
Give
Do
us-
it right
give
now.
us- give
Do
us
it
any
for
now.
glory.
Give us any
now.
question.
On shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yes!
Champion.
Now that is how you decide a game. Thank you guys so much for watching on Team Talk, boys.
hallowed
Thank you
victory.
so much. Henry, well done. What do you win? Absolutely nothing.
I wanted every camera.
Yeah, Henry, you can have the last word. Henry, you can have the last word, mate.
Cheers, guys. Like and subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't already, and check out all of our amazing content across the platform. This has been Team Talk, presented by Jack. And we'll see you next time.